In this video I've been asked to draw a kind of a go-kart racing kart thing, and then we're going to pick some interesting colours for it. So we've got a reference image up, and I'm going to do my best to sort of scribble together an approximate version of it. So we're going to start with the front wheel, which is a circle.
And we'll definitely need black.
Well, the colours will come at the end, I suppose. Then we've got the inside of the wheel. We've got a sort of a front part here which comes up. You've got the base of the cart, which kind of goes like this.
Like two, I think.
Cool. So if we put our other wheel about there, it's a bit smaller for some reason.
A little there.
Then we've got the rear of the cart, which is coming down like this. We've then got a little section that comes up, and it has a little flag on it.
Let's just try that again using some other paper.
Remember, you can turn paper over and use the other side, that way we're not being wasteful.
I'm trying not to be wasteful because I've got thousands of paper.
Right, so if we do our little base of the cart there, we've then got a small seated section that comes up from here. So we've got a couple of struts coming out of here, like this.
One large paper because this has a hole in this one.
This is joined to the back of the seat.
Then let me just find a nice brown, making sure that we don't waste our paper.
Correct.
And we need to colour it in as well.
We then have sort of the front driving panel, which comes out like this. And then we've got our driver. So driver's helmet is going to be about here, like that. The arms coming down.
Don't worry if you have any bloopers on your video, because that's alright.
That's absolutely right. Art is failure and recovery from failure. That's going to be the sort of top half of the body, and then you're going to have some legs that are coming up and pushing pedals that will be sat just behind those wheels, we'll say, for argument's sake, in our imaginary go-kart, like that. Okay, so adding a few details now. We're going to have the visor of the helmet. We've got one hand there, so we need the wheel. So we're kind of pretty much side on. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on the steering wheel because it's mostly going to be obscured anyway. See the other arm there. Let's try and smooth that out a little bit. There we go. We're going to have the other leg coming up just behind there. Alright, so we've got the basics down here for our car. We'll do the sort of interior of the seat there. Alright, not overly happy with this wheel, so we're going to make this wheel a bit bigger. We'll be able to cover all that up with felt tip in a minute. Alright, so we have got our go-kart. So, let's start off. What colour should we do the tyres, do you think?
Black.
Black. Look, have you got a black there?
No, I have not. This is brown. What's this one? This one.
That looks like a black.
Yes.
There we go. Right. So, to help define the shape, we're going to do a scribble that follows the pattern of a circle like this. And then we're going to do the outline. In fact, I might even do the outline for everything. Maybe in the colour it's coloured in, we'll see. So we want to have a black helmet?
Yeah, we need a black helmet.
Alright.
But a dark, light blue part on the middle part. Which light blue is right here if you need it.
I'll do that in a minute. So we've got our helmet here. Now black's difficult with felt tip pens because you can't really shade black too easily. You can leave gaps for highlights and reflections, but I don't think we'll bother doing that. We're just going to tidy up this visor with a little line of black there. And then in the picture the steering wheel and the steering wheel column part are kind of black, so we're going to partition those off a little bit. There we go. Cut all of that bit in there. Then you've got the flagpole back here, which is black.
It's brown actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you are right. Alright, well, we'll just use the base fit as black then. And then these struts are black, aren't they? So these can be black.
We'll just use this as black, never mind. We'll use a red flag.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright. And that's what art's all about, really. When you make a mistake, it's often an opportunity to try something different. Or to get you to think differently about the direction you've started going in and how you can make that work. Okay, oh, and there are the shoes, but the shoes are hidden by the wheel in this picture, so that's fine. Okay, so you were talking about a light blue visor. So the key with a light blue visor, is that lighter? It is. That's about the same. Right. So we want to have a nice reflection on there to show that it's glass. So what we can do is we can just have a little light white line like that, and maybe a really thin white line there. Colour the rest in blue, like that. There you go, that looks reasonably reflective. It's not exactly straight, but that's okay. It gives the impression, and sometimes that's what matters. Right, what colour should we do next, do you think?
Do the red, I think.
The red. So in the picture, you've got part of the front of the car and part of the seat is red.
And the wheel as well.
Oh, and the inner part of the wheel. So in here, move this over so you can see, this little section here is all red, like that. We've got a red flag. So what we're going to do, so there's a implied fold in the flag by the shape. So we're going to make sure that this back part is darker than the front part. We're going to do that by going over it a couple of times, and then on this part being much lighter to give the impression that it's a bit further away. And then what we might do is grab that darker red in a second and just add an additional line, although I think, to be fair, that probably looks okay. Alright, what else do we have that's red? So we've got the seat.
And then that's it, because next we're going to do a bit of green, I think.
Well, there's a little bit near the front as well in the reference picture we're using. So we're just going to line this. So I find lining helps define the different parts of the picture, which is something I learned from miniature painting. Just by adding a line in, it just kind of creates its own space, defines the area, makes it easier for the eye to understand what it's looking at, which is especially important when you're not a very good drawer like me. Alright, fill in those little gaps a bit.
No.
Okay, so that's all of the red. You want to do green?
Yeah,
What green would you like me to use?
this green, I
Oh,
think.
that's bright green.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to colour all this in, and then we're going to look at ways of creating depth at the end, using shading and highlights and stuff. So highlights are very difficult to do in felt tip, obviously, but there might be a couple of things we can do, we'll see. So we're going to get that green all in there, and then just towards the bottom we're going to add a second layer of green just to really get that darkened. And then this back section here is all green as well. So we're just going to do the outline, trying to be careful not to soak up too much of that red, because if you run the felt tip over the red area, it will pick it up, and then you'll get a sort of browny looking section. And then each layer I'm going up, I'm doing bigger lines and lighter. Like that. And then we're just going to kind of do a little darker section down here, just to imply a bit of shade. Alright?
Yeah.
Okay, That's the green.
Next colour is dark blue.
Dark blue. Have you got a dark blue for me? Oh, that's a really dark blue. Okay. So the base of the cart is denoted as being blue. So we're just going to give it a really rough scribble first of all, just to get our area we're talking about all identified. And then I want to just define that there's a line there. There's two parts. They're the same colour, but they are distinct parts. I just want to make that really defined. Now, one way of denoting a highlight, if you're looking at something shiny, is to leave that top section slightly white. Given that we can't really do additive highlights with felt tips, that's where you can add a colour to make something lighter. That doesn't really work with felt tips, it would generally go darker. So we have to be quite clever about how we do that. So it's usually focusing on shading and allowing the vibrancy of the felt tip pen to act as a natural highlight, so that you're always going darker from the base. There we go. What next?
We'll say that pink there, I think.
For the skin?
Yeah.
Have you got a pink for me?
Let's look for one. Let's just, yeah, so this
Oh,
one's
it's a bright pink. That'd be a sunburnt person.
There you go, I think that's all for now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay,
So
cool.
I'm just going to add that little bit of shading underneath there.
I got the next colour ready if you need
Bit
it.
of grey.
Yeah.
Alright, so this reference picture has got grey trousers.
Pants.
So I call them trousers.
I call them pants.
Well, that's entirely your choice. So we're just going to define those lines first of all. Now, because we want to get the three-dimensionality of these shapes, they are essentially cylinders. So we can do that by using lines like this. Excuse me. The slight curve helps create the feeling of a cylinder. Like this. And then we're just going to add a few very light lines on the top here, and then go over our shading again in a second. Excuse me. Right. So if we go over these bits again now, they're going to go nice and dark. It just gives us a nice sort of feeling that they're three-dimensional and not just big blobs. Alright, let me just redefine some of these lines a little bit, because we want to understand where the definition is. Okay.
Next, I think we've done most of them. I think we've just got the yellow left, haven't we?
Alright. So, have you got me a yellow? Thank you.
Run these for the cheese on the pizza.
Cheese. Yeah, it's a nice warm yellow, this one. It's nice. So like we did with the legs, we're just going to focus on our first pass at the underside, the areas we want to be darker. So all down here is going to be in the shadow, as is all this part at the back. Any parts under here will be a bit darker. The underside of the torso. And then when we go through and do just a general pass, the bits we've already shaded are going to go even darker, and that will allow us to then identify and focus on those areas further. Alright, I think that looks good. Right, I think that is our nice fella on a car. Excuse me. Thank you for watching, and maybe we'll join you for another video
Make
very
sure
soon.
to like and subscribe.
Very right, very right. Like and subscribe. Thank you.